Hello everyone, this is Bentley, and it's time for episode 10 of Tank of the Week. And, well, the tank behind me has had a weird life. For those of you who watched the channel for a while, the 29 behind me used to house my zebra pleco colony. And there's still some small remnants of that left over, namely the sand and the filter, but the rest of the tank has been left really simple because it's there now. Well, why don't we look at the tank and then I'll tell you what its job is. Let's check it out. So now that we're in the tank, you can see it's very simple. Possibly the simplest rainbow fish tank I own. And yet, there's a couple little interesting things about this tank. So first off, let's talk the fish. There's only 3 species of fish in here. You have Melanitania parva, which this is later at night because when I try to film every other place, because there's so much sunlight that comes in through this room, there's so much glare I could barely see anything. So you'll have to excuse me, but if you look, it's like this. I'm going to point over my camera here, but like this chunky guy, kind of in the middle here, that's a parva, male. And when they turn, the fattest of them, those are all the parvas. The males get this beautiful, like, sunburst orange. It's a really incredible fish. Then there are Melanitania goldii decai that are also in here. There's, I think, 4 of those, if I remember correctly. Counting really fast, yes, 4 of those. I think I have a female out of the 4, but they really present themselves as almost entirely male, although only 2 of them really show strong coloration. And it's funny because it's the 2 smallest ones. But I think this right here, this fish, it's a little red in the gill, but they're kind of all like that, is a female. And then finally, we have a singular Melanitania Herbert axelrodi, or the yellow rainbow fish, and that is this little fella right here. You can see my finger pointing. So he's trying to dodge me, but he's always showing really great yellow color. I mean, it's at night. Rainbows are going to be a lot less colorful toward the evening, right before they're going out for the night. But he's just got phenomenal color. It's a very, very pretty fish. And overall, these guys are all pretty healthy. They've been really fun to just relax and enjoy. They're great little rainbow fish. And the tank is really simple, right? It's the leftovers of my old failed zebra colony. So it's sand substrate, which, yes, it would be more intense coloration if they were on a dark substrate. They do have a black background, which helps some, but a dark substrate would help more. There's a little bit of crushed coral mixed in, and some snails, that's just kind of the buffer, and snails are sort of a cleanup crew. You can see there's a bunch of Java fern windalave in here. That's all attached to a piece of cholla wood that's slowly but surely been disintegrating over time. Very similar to what's inside the Guppy Mansion. It's actually one of the pieces that was originally in the Guppy Mansion. This tank is all lit by a Finnick Stingray. There's a simple heater, and then a Tidal 110 as its filtration. It's not at full kick, it's slightly lower, just because the rainbows don't need that much flow in this smaller tank, but it is a good amount of flow, and they seem to really enjoy it. It keeps the water kind of churning, and rainbows generally like that reasonable amount of water flow. Beyond that, this is just a simple 29-gallon True View acrylic aquarium. It's nothing really special. There is one kind of plant that is, as you can see, over attached to the filter, basically, hanging in, and then it goes up out and has this kind of almost palm frondy top to it, which, well, I'll show that in a second, but that was something I got from a club member. I cannot remember the name of this plant for the life of me, but he mentioned, like, yeah, you can just put the roots in the aquarium and let the tree bark, like, twig portion come out and the plant stay out, and it'll grow like pothos, only it looks a little neater and doesn't grow quite as crazy on you. And when we did my club's home show, I'd seen that plant in another person's house, and he'd mentioned, like, yeah, you can actually stick it in an aquarium, because they didn't have it in an aquarium. And I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. And then the very next meeting, he just brought one for me, because he grows them at home. And I was like, oh, well, all right, I guess I'm growing this plant. And he's like, yeah, I told you about it, remember? And I'm like, yeah, I remember, but I didn't know you were going to bring me one. So, you know, that was kind of neat. It was really nice of him. And now we got the opportunity to try something a little different. And maybe over time, I'll start adding things like pothos and stuff like that to some of the other tanks. So that's really it. So why does this tank matter? This tank has kind of evolved from really like the heartbreak of losing my zebra plecos to just being a nice place for these rainbows to grow out, get a little size, and have a little more swimming room. You know, when you're raising rainbows over time, you do need to move them to larger tanks. They need more room because they're going to get bigger. And if you don't move them, it can really hamper their growth and... growth. Woo, said that terribly. Anyway, it can hamper their growth and prevent them from getting better coloration and just better behavior long term. So if you move them to something a little larger, ideally like a 40 breeder would probably be better for these fish. But I just don't have a spare 40 breeder right now that isn't trying to do some kind of breeding experiment or isn't a extremely hard water like the Shelleys or extremely soft water like the Angels tank that would be not good for the rainbow fish. That being said, these guys are kind of at a size where they could move in with another group of fish and be fine, but they've been enjoying this tank so far, and it lets me use this tank for something that, you know, isn't just a reminder of some heartbreak, right? So I kind of like using this as a grow-out tank, and I think it's going to continue being like that. There might be some more plants put out in here eventually. It'll probably be all very simple stuff, epiphyte plants that I can attach to wood or rock. Make it very, very simple. They're low light demands. This thing's just got a Phoenix Stingray on it. But as you can see, even on this 29 gallon, the Stingray has some reasonable light. And to the naked eye, it's plenty of light. It's certainly not enough to grow any like high-tech plants or anything crazy like that. But just to show some good color and be enough for the Java firm, it's plenty. That's it, guys. Let's bounce back to my face, and we'll talk just a little bit more about this tank, and we'll be done. Well, there you go, guys. There's a look into what was once my zebra pleco colony and is now a grow-out tank for rainbow fish. In the video coming up this Saturday, you will see me go over how to raise rainbow fish as we look at like pulling eggs and setting up a hatchery and all that kind of stuff for the Bozeman that came from Bob Steenfott. So I really hope you guys enjoy that. It's kind of a short tutorial, a little newer version compared to something I did a while back, just because we have better camera angles and better information, a lot of stuff like that I think will help folks who maybe want to breed rainbows in the future. As for this tank, it's kind of serving a really good job of just being a grow out for some of these rainbows, giving them a little more swim space, a little more room, nice powerful filter, all that kind of stuff. And you know, I don't really think I'm going to be getting zebras again anytime soon, and if I do, it'll be a completely different setup. So, you know, I think this tank being a zebra pleco colony's days are kind of over. But that being said, where one tragedy can happen, we get an opportunity to see a whole lot of color and a whole lot of life. So I'd really love to know down in the comments, you know, which of the rainbows that's in there is your favorite. Maybe what would you do if you had that 29 gallon tank? Please don't tell me zebra plecos. That's just too trolly. But no, seriously, like, what would you like to do if you had that tank? Or more importantly, just, you know, what would you like to see next? If you enjoyed this video, this short little look into this tank, give me a thumbs up. If you're really getting tired of these rainbows and you just want those guppies, go ahead and hit the thumbs down twice, just to let me know how much you're tired of waiting. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and stay awesome. Beyond that, I mean, it's a simple 29-gallon TruVu. It is a simple 29-gallon TruVu. Golly. Take 3. I screwed that one up. Let's fix it.